Okay, we are live. Oh my gosh. So, good morning, everybody who's joining us. I'm going to share this as well to my page, but we have a very important guest this morning, none other than Mr. Rex Colinares, who I happen to know very personally and professionally.
Long time no see, Carla Airy.
Yes, how are you today, sir?
I am feeling just wonderful. You look fantastic, by the way.
As do you. Why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do?
Well, firstly, I just, before I get started introducing myself, I just want to send our prayers, hope, and love to all the frontline workforce out there. We have families that are also in the healthcare force. I have two nephews that are, one's a doctor and the other one is pre-med. And we have, a very good friend of ours who's a nurse. We send our prayers and hope that God protects them and keep them safe. I also want to send our condolences to everyone out there who've lost a loved one from this, virus, and and prayers to those who have lost their lives through the virus. But anyways, just wanted to send that.
And now who are you?
I am Rex Colinares. I am the loving husband to a wonderful woman, an amazing woman. Her name is Carla Airy Colinares. And I am a humble servant, chauffeur, butler, part-time chef. My brother, who we live with, also is an amazing chef, so I can't say that I can cook, because compared to what he can do, it's incredible. I'm just, I'm most, to all the fellow contractors out there, I'm a fellow contractor. I've been a builder contractor since 1997. And it's that saying that goes that we're only as good as our last job, and boy, we were really good since our last job, because this is it's a struggle, not just from a financial, personal, family well-being, but it's a struggle up here, So, but we've done well. You and I have done well. I mean,
we have.
Living in small quarters, living in, like waking up and then to be with somebody that, you really got to like the person that you're with.
You sure do. We've done very well, I think.
Not just life partner, but you and I are business partners. We strategize and brainstorm, and that's kind of what kind of makes our waking up in the morning kind of every day, kind of interesting, because we kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess what I wanted to talk about, we'll go back.
Oh, that was virus.
Oh, stop it.
No, just kidding.
We want to go backwards a little bit and talk about, you have been a builder and contractor for how many years?
Since 97.
97.
Before then, I knew
how did you
squat all.
How did you get started? I think that's a good idea or a good thing to talk about, is how you got started.
Excuse me. Well, I got started basically prior to being in the construction industry. I was in the corporate world. I was actually in the hotel convention industry, and it's really interesting, looking around the buildings that I'm surrounded with. It's just mind-blowing seeing these empty buildings of hotels, and
Yeah.
like we're talking massive buildings, and
Hmm.
like 1,000-room hotel at the Sheraton Wall Center where I used to work at, or just across from us, which is the Westin Hotel and Coast Hotel. It's just crazy.
Yeah, we commented on that last night when we were sitting outside. It was like completely dark, and it was so weird to see a hotel completely dark.
I'm doing subliminal
Let's
messaging.
okay.
No, I'm
Let's
just
stay
kidding.
on track there, Mr. AD and Mr. ADD. Let's stay on track. Squirrel.
Anyways, yeah, it's really just incredible
Yeah.
because we were observing that yesterday, looking around at all the buildings and going, man, before that, residential high-rise buildings here in
Hmm.
Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, literally empty.
Right.
And office buildings would be packed in, of course, with workers, and then it's the other way around. You can
Hmm.
see complete darkness in office buildings, and it's like, you
Yeah.
know.
It's
So,
very strange. So you left the corporate world and you started doing construction.
well, I had a
Well,
really
not
cushy job. I was like,
hmm.
director of business development, director of revenues for hotels, and um, it was a great job. It was an excellent way to kind of travel, but it gets really tiresome,
Hmm.
just going different places. And at that time, I had a young family, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, um, I kind of got burned out in the corporate world,
Yeah.
and so and at that time we were living in Canada, and we kind of took the leap of moving into the U.S.
Hmm.
And there was this little 10 square mile radius of a township in within Canada. It's really weird, an area called Point
Yeah.
Roberts, and that belonged to the kind of continental USA territory,
Hmm.
and that's where we kind of started off. My ex-wife was an American
Hmm.
and was born in the United States, and we're like, okay, why not make a change? And that's what we did. I took my whole family. I make it sound like I'm a huge mob or something. I took four of us
To Point Roberts.
to Point Roberts, and we started there. And I got started with, my wife and kids were horrified that we were going to move into this
Hmm.
dilapidated little cabin,
How many
and
square feet was it
it
again?
was like 600 square feet,
Yeah.
2 bedrooms. The bedrooms were basically the size of a broom room or janitorial room.
The reason why I'm laughing is because how I know you now is I can't even imagine like you do those things still, but it's trying to picture doing that with two little kids. How old were your kids then? My bonus kids, your kids.
Yeah, your bonus kids.
My bonus kids.
I believe at that time, my son, Thor was like maybe 5, and then my princess, Chanel, was like maybe
Two?
1 or 2.
One or two. Wow.
Yeah, it was,
Hmm.
but at that time when we opened up the door, it was like, yeah, it's like one of those horror movies,
Yeah.
and then you got shiplap, wood hanging on the walls, and you got frickin' drywall ceiling kind of hanging on from the ceiling,
Yeah.
and it was scary, and cobwebs everywhere. So of course, my ex-wife was like horrified, and
Yes.
and
Understandably.
and my 2 babies were kind of hugging onto her legs. They weren't hugging on my legs; they were hugging her legs because
No.
it's like, what
Right.
is this place?
Yeah.
But what I saw from that was a vision, and I really did. It was a vision
Hmm.
that I saw other homes down the road in the pipeline kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know. So I had that vision, and that vision was, multiple homes, and
Right.
that, I didn't, I didn't know how, but it was just at that time, it was just kind of like uh, an epiphany,
Yeah.
and I was scared shitless because, do I leave the corporate world with a cushy, paycheck, every
Mhm.
month, and at that time I had a young family, and in hindsight, I look back and it's kind of irresponsible, but there was something inside of me that was kind of compelling to, like I needed to do this.
Mhm.
I had to do this,
Right.
and it wasn't for me. I wanted to do it really for the future of my children, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the thing I wanted to do, and for my family, and
Right.
so I went all in. I mean, the next
Mhm.
thing I know, I made an offer on that place, and I had it on contract, owner carry contract, and I was like, what the heck,
Now, I'm going to stop you there. Can you explain what that means? Because I don't know, the terminologies I think are different in Canada than they are in the US. So can you explain what an owner carry is?
Okay, that's kind of mind blowing because here in Canada, and I knew nothing about, real estate investing or flipping, or
Hmm.
I, I I didn't even know how to change. I probably didn't even know how to change a light bulb
Right.
to a light, and let alone I was, getting into this business, but I don't know what it was. I just, so anyways, owner carry contract financing is kind of at that time was unheard of here in Canada.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what that meant, and I got explained what that owner carry was, and really owner carry is the seller basically finances as they would as a bank
Hmm.
in holding the note on that
So they're like
home.
the mortgage company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you as the buyer, or in this case here, your entitlement, you have that deed of trust,
Hmm.
but your lien position with that owner,
Hmm.
they, of course, they've got like interest rates. I think at that time I was paying 8% on a 50,000.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so fast forward to that really quick.
Hmm.
That's how I really all started, getting into real estate
Hmm.
investing. Like I said, I knew nothing about renovation or nothing.
Right.
Um, and so I took up literally, those Home Depot, Lowe's workshops where
Yeah.
they offer, how to
Saturday
like,
morning courses.
yeah, that's what I did. And,
Hmm.
I would go and attend like how to put on a tile, how to how to paint.
Hmm.
I knew absolutely nothing with that, and that's how I learned. And so our first house, I eventually, I did the remodeling myself. I learned how to do tiles. I mean, it probably sucked, the first time around,
Yeah.
but that's how I learned, through trial and error per se. I
Hmm.
wasn't I really wasn't good at it. I was probably terrible at it. Um,
You.
and using paintbrush as opposed to roller when rolling,
Yeah.
painting a room or whatever, and it was just brutal, but we did it.
You did a very interesting thing too, which I think a lot of people maybe don't think about doing, is you hired a general contractor and shadowed them, did you not?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's like, maybe 5 years, 6 years ahead,
Yeah.
but what I got from that, so really interesting thing, and
Hmm.
again, everything was all, I knew what I wanted. I really wanted to do this. I
Yeah.
didn't know how. I didn't know how it was gonna manifest itself. I didn't even have any money. I didn't have cash and nothing. I
Hmm.
think I had like maybe $1,000 or something like that for
Hmm.
down payment,
Yeah.
and and so fast forward to that, I finished, remodeling the little tiny house,
Hmm.
and I went to the bank and basically asked them for refinancing because I wanted to get a lower interest rate to drop my, to reduce my mortgage payments.
Yeah.
And I went to Bank of America. I just walked in and I didn't even have a bank account or nothing. Anyways, I went in there, opened up a bank account, applied for a refinancing, and they sent in Bank of America sent an appraiser to the place. So again, I bought the place for $50,000, $1,000 down, and I probably spent maybe $2,000 in renovation with materials. It was all sweat equity.
You did it yourself, yeah.
Did it all myself. Again, I have to point out that it sucked.
Yes.
Because in hindsight, I look back now, I didn't even put any, backer boards underneath the tiles, and you're supposed to.
Right.
Anyway, so I just went directly the tile with the adhesive directly to the, to the subfloor plywood.
Right.
Not supposed to do that. Anyways. You
got the job done, I guess.
Yeah, I got the job done. But anyways, this is the interesting aspect of it. So they sent an appraiser, and the appraisal came in at over $120,000.
And you bought it for $50,000.
And I bought it for $50,000. Wow. And then, so what the bank did was the bank said, oh, okay, Mr. Colinares, the appraisal came in at $120,000. It was just really just mundane. Monotone about, announcement. And, we're prepared to give you $35,000 in HELOC. And I'm like, what's a HELOC? Home equity line of credit. And we'll give you $5,000 in credit card. And I was like, squeeze me?
Yeah.
You're getting, and the other thing was our mortgage payments. My mortgage payments at the time, I don't know, I was paying like $600 a month.
Right.
And it got dropped down to like $400 a month because it was at, half the mortgage rate. So they were giving me a $35,000 HELOC, and then they were giving me a $5,000 credit card. And again, I didn't have a pot to piss in.
Right.
Didn't have a job, had nothing, absolutely nothing. And then on top of that, they were my mortgage payments was going to be half, literally half. And so I was hooked. I was like, what the heck?
Right.
So I took that HELOC and bought another one. I bought another house probably about 5 blocks away from where the other house, and I just kept rolling it in. So, we bought the other house for like $60,000 or something like that, and it was a bigger house. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, whereas the other one was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom or whatever, and it had a garage and all this stuff. And it came in, the appraised value was $135,000. So I was just raking it in, and all this literally within less than 6 months.
Right.
And so I was hooked. And that was the beginning.
Yeah.
That was the beginning for me, and then came to the point where, in 2004, I think, 2004, we owned 23 properties, 23 rental properties. Some of them just absolutely beautiful. Like they're, we had a beach house. We had we had a house for. And this is how excessive we became. And this is why, down the road I can talk about, I lost my way.
Yeah.
But, when you have such amount of materials and wealth, you lose your sense of perspective somewhat, and that's kind of what happened to me. Right. I lost my sense of perspective. I lost my way. A lot of people will go, yeah, you lost your way, dude, But anyways.
Yeah, so that was up to 2004. So then you're coming up upon, obviously nobody could see that coming, but the 2008, you just kept, so then I guess I should say, 2004 you had 23 rental homes. When did you start building? Because you built, how many homes have you built?
So in 2005, again, I was, I knew nothing about building.
Mhm.
you know, from ground up. It's what we call spec build or speculative
Mhm.
or speculation new builds.
Yeah.
And I think it was in 2005 or 2006, I had hired a couple of builders. Fast forward from, you know, those properties. I owned some commercial properties. I had some free and clear lots, and
Mhm.
so what I did was I was subordinating these lots and taking out construction loan to build out to build new spec builds.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to build. I knew how to do renovation and stuff, but I didn't know the permit process. I didn't know even the financing of, you know, construction builds, that kind of stuff. And I had hired a builder, a local builder, to build a house, and then um, I was I was like, I can do this. You know,
Mhm.
again, it was knowing what I wanted to do, and so I hired another local builder for the second build, and I was like, okay, you know, he quoted me out a cost of, you know, a lump sum price of building that house, and I
Yeah.
said, okay, bro, I'll pay you another 25,000 if you'll allow me to shadow you. And that's how I started to learn how to do everything from, you know, from design and planning and
Mhm.
submitting that to permit with the county or the city or township. And so I shadowed this guy, and that's all. You know, if he'd go to the county to submit permits for, you know, demolition or earthworks, because I didn't realize that, you know, you had to do permits for each one. And I was
You're
like,
right.
so I would shadow this guy. So the
Mhm.
whole day I would, you know, we would get in the car or truck, and we would just go back and forth the county and
Mhm.
go to Home Depot or, you know, to the lumber store, head
Mhm.
back to the job site and do our work and stuff, and coordinate with mine, mine. Sorry about that. Um,
Oh my.
where was I? Okay.
Yeah, you were shadowing your
Yeah, I was
contractor. Yes.
shadowing my contractor,
Squirrel.
and so anyways, fast forward, I finished that second house,
Mhm.
and we ended up, I don't know how much money we made. It was ridiculous. It was stupid money,
Yeah.
and I think it was like over 200,000. I had heard about builders making that kind of money, and
Right.
I was like curious. I'm like, yeah, bullshit and all this stuff, but
Mhm.
I was
It
like,
happened.
what?
Yeah.
I just made that kind of stupid money
Yeah.
myself, and I was just like, okay. And then so I wasn't comfortable that, you know, shadowing the builder on the first house. I really wanted to immerse myself like I normally do when I get into something. I just, you know,
Well,
I need to just learn everything, you know.
and you also like to be the boss.
Actually, that's actually not accurate. That's
Well,
secondary. You know why? You know why? Because for me, it's about the process.
no,
You
I
know,
know it
I
is.
need to
I had to tease you
fully
there.
understand everything.
Mhm.
But bossing you, yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, you're the boss of me. You and I know, and my family knows who's the boss.
Okay.
I am not the boss.
All
When
right.
I come home,
Yeah.
I just bow,
Okay.
right? I just
I
bow.
wonder what. Okay. Okay.
Anyways,
Well, we'll talk about that later.
we'll
But
talk later.
anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So you wanted to do your own.
I've always wanted to be independent. I've
Yeah.
always wanted to be financially independent, and I don't know why I felt compelled always to be independent. And I think, you know, I give that credit to my mom and dad.
Mhm.
I've got them. I really, my parents. I love my parents,
Yeah.
not because they're just my parents. I truly love my parents
Yeah.
because my mom and dad have they've always given me that freedom.
Yeah.
You know, they've always, it's really interesting because they have very conservative values, but when it comes to the freedom, giving their children the freedom to do whatever they wanted to do, they've always just supported us.
Yeah, you guys are all highly independent, and I'm very
Incredibly
fortunate. I'm
independent.
very fortunate to have such incredible in-laws. I
Well,
really am.
we're incredibly fortunate and blessed to have such an,
Aw.
anyways, you're,
Anyways, I mean, okay, yeah, okay. Let's stay on
anyways,
track. Stay on
okay,
track. Okay,
okay,
back to, so you built the house, you shadowed the contractor, you
yeah,
then went on
did
to
it
do
the
your own.
second time.
Yeah.
Did it the second time.
Oh,
Paid
okay.
paid the contractor. I think it
Again.
was again another 25K,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just made so much money on the first house that I built
Mm-hmm.
with him.
Yeah.
Did it again.
Yeah.
Boom. Made money again. It was just like holy crap, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I went from just kind of like doing this, business life cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I just went boom,
Yeah.
and I think that was the beginning of the end for me on my on that stage of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I say the beginning of the end because I my ex-wife and I worked ourselves to death, you know.
Right.
And we just really, I don't want to speak on we or her,
Right.
but
Just on your own.
I know for me, I thought I was normal. I thought I was like, oh, okay, I knew my purpose. My purpose was, building wealth for my family.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was a reason, and at that time, like I said, my kids were going into high school, and my son was going to middle school and high school, and then my daughter was just entering middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So, but along the way, like I really did. I feel like, I can honestly say with myself that, I lost my way because I I I just worked myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just go, go, go. My ex-wife had to, surprise us literally to pull me out to take a break,
Right.
going on, little, trips and vacations or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
and I remember being absolutely a miserable person. I was an absolutely fucking miserable person.
So was that because you were so focused on the money part of it, or
No,
it was the work part?
Like I said,
I know when you're immersed in something, I know when you have something that you want to do, you go as hard as you possibly can until it's finished. So
yeah, I don't know why that happens, but I'm sure a lot of other people that are in business, that's what happens. But
right.
I was just so like, I don't know. I was just an idiot.
Mm.
I was just an idiot. I had all this money. I got us there, and my ex-wife as well. She was doing incredibly well with being a realtor, and
Right.
we had all this money and we had all these material stuff. But I just remember just looking back now, reflecting back, and it's really weird. I mean, over 15, 20 years of kind of reflecting back since with this virus lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But I look back and we had all this, and yet I was miserable.
Mm.
I was moody. When my ex-wife would pack us all up and, take vacation trips.
Yeah.
I was like pouting, literally pouting in the room, going, fuck this,
Because you were taken away from your work.
I was taken away from my work, and it wasn't fair,
Right.
Really, I was not a good person. I was not in a good state of mind
Right.
at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I should have been, I should have been incredibly grateful for my blessings and my hard work, and I had an amazing family.
Yeah.
I had everything. I had
Right.
the all-American dream per se, but
And you
you
had a
know
dog too.
we had a dog,
Yes.
Cassie
Well,
girl. Even her,
yeah.
I wasn't good to her. I was not
Yeah.
good to her.
It's interesting to me because you hear that a lot with people who have gone on that kind of path of they've started out and done this hard work and then they make a lot of money and it's like all of a sudden it becomes that focus of family and just enjoying your life gets somewhere it gets lost in that shuffle, and I think it becomes a little bit of an, I don't want to say an addiction, but it becomes like it's not enough and you want to have more, and so you have to work harder instead of stopping and taking the time to kind of like breathe and enjoy.
Well,
I don't think
I
that's an uncommon thing.
reflecting back again, I think it was just I didn't know how to deal with money.
Right.
And we talk about that once in a
You and I
while
talk about
now,
it. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Sometimes when we get to that position where we've made a lot of money, it sometimes doesn't, there could be an emotional blockage towards money.
Hmm.
And I look back, that's kind of what I made it.
Hmm.
I created that wealth, but it was alien to me. I
Right.
was, that thing where we talked about this, that I really, nothing was enough.
Right.
And I think looking at that, nothing was enough was basically um, not declaring in the beginning and during the process of wealth building, for me anyways, that I didn't deserve that.
Mm.
I didn't deserve to make that money.
Interesting.
And it's the deserving part that
Yeah.
now, hey, I do fucking deserve making a lot of money,
Right.
for my family.
Yeah.
And so that's that. Bottom line, I've had to kind of take a step back because I understand now why back then
Hmm.
I was messed up.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, how can you be messed up when you've worked so... Those are my friends.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. So how can you be messed up? Yes. So everybody that's watching, just so you know, I'm looking at my phone, but when I look this way, I'm looking at Rex sitting out on our deck. Yes. So anyways, how can you be that messed up when you've got everything?
Yeah, you can be messed up because when you lose your way, you lose your perspective. I lost my own self perspective. I lost my own self perspective of what was more, why I was doing that, why I was working so hard,
Did the
why
perspective,
I was wanting to create wealth.
did it become materialistic?
Absolutely.
So the focus became about having things
And money.
and money.
Yeah. I mean, that saying goes, really, what good is money when you're 6 feet under?
Right.
I was obese. I became
Hmm.
obese. I went
Hmm.
from being 195 pounds to like I think at that time I reached 263 pounds.
Hmm.
Um, it was just it wasn't who I became
Right.
was everything the opposite of what I was trying to do.
Right.
And so yeah, it
So
was
so you built, so from 2004 to up to 2008,
yeah.
how many houses did you build?
I don't know.
Like ballpark.
And I was by myself. It was just my ex-wife and I.
Hmm.
Um,
And actually, just to kind of give people a little perspective on your ex-wife,
Mm.
she was a realtor, and she worked her way up to being, like you said, she was like the #1 realtor in her company. Like, she worked hard,
She
right?
worked hard
Yeah.
because
You guys
because
were a team. So
yeah.
you worked on either side of that, and you guys both became very successful in
So
each of your
yeah.
realms.
So basically, when I did my acquisitions, she would write up the purchase offers
Hmm.
or PSA offers, and then so she made commissions off from the acquisition,
Right.
and then she would list the house. So she was the
Yeah.
listing agent. So it was a double dip,
Yeah.
and the strategy behind that was, keeping it in the family, and of
Right.
course, like that was just a natural state.
So
But yeah,
so you guys went on to build. How many spec homes did you build
I don't know.
before?
I
Right
probably
before.
did. I probably did about a
Yeah.
dozen houses. So new spec builds and renovations, flips or spec
Hmm.
flips, and like I said, I was just kind of going crazy, flying off the seat of my pants every day.
Hmm.
But that's what I thrived in.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that flying off the seat of the pants because it was something new, it was
It's
something
exciting.
different, it was exciting, it was an adventure, and
Hmm.
we were fucking making a lot of money
Yeah.
doing it.
Right.
Oh, I've got to stop using my foreign swear language
It's okay.
because sorry, mom,
Yeah.
I've got
These
a halo
people
above
watching.
me.
Yeah.
I
Right.
got a
Yeah.
halo.
We know. We
Love,
know.
love, love, love,
So
mama, dada.
yeah. So let's talk about getting closer to 2008. So you're
Yes.
in right before that all happened. You had how many spec homes did you have before 2008? You had 8, didn't you?
I had quite a bit. Now, probably I was working on also building a hotel and on our commercial lot in
Hmm.
Birch Bay. And anyways, basically what happened was around 2000, late 2007,
Hmm.
I knew of other builders in the area and local builders, and we had a conversation and talking, and you know they were all talking about, yeah, they were going to stop, one was going to stop, one was going to move out of state, and at that time, there was signs in the horizon, the dark cloud was coming, and
Yeah.
the bubble was, kind of inflating, and and I was like, all I could think about was like, man, I am going to monopolize Birch Bay.
Mm,
And the greed factor kicked in, the
right.
greed factor kicked in. And knowing that, of course, but I started planning, okay, like if anything happened, how long could I sustain myself? How much, money do I have in my bank account? I even hired an accountant,
Hmm.
to kind of plan these things out and, doing my taxes and stuff like that. And so I was prepared for about a year's worth of potential. If I didn't sell a single property, could I sustain myself? And at that
Hmm.
time, we had rental properties and stuff. And but anyways, long story short, basically, all of a sudden, I still remember this. The Black Friday, October. I think it was October or November of
Hmm.
2008. That was when over 350 mortgage companies filed Chapter 7.
Right.
I could not believe it. And one of my I had two major mortgage companies that carried my mortgages. Sorry,
Is it
it's
cool?
it's freaking nippy out
Yeah.
here, mommy. I'm freezing out here. No, just kidding. It is cold.
Yeah.
And yeah, over 350 mortgage banks
Hmm.
just crashed.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I had my renters just stop paying rent.
Right.
It was all of them, and they all stopped paying rent. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And at that time, um, I had bought a furniture store. We had a sports memorabilia retail store. We had, I don't know what other businesses I had, but I, man, I just lost control.
Yeah.
And it scared my ex-wife to the point where, and I don't blame her at all whatsoever for, for abandoning ship, because it was. I mean, it took a lot for us to build from nothing into this,
Your little empire.
little empire. And it wasn't a big empire by no means, but it was from humble beginnings, right? And she just, I don't blame her at all for kind of abandoning ship and at that time and saying, she couldn't do it again. There was no way she could do it again. And so I interpreted that back then because my ego got hurt so badly.
Right.
My pride and ego, literally, I interpreted that as betrayal. But when looking back, that was just my way of kind of protecting myself. Yeah, to go in there, she's just a chicken shit. She jammed out and all this stuff. But on the positive note, I mean, we're still good friends, and you've made, you made great friendship out of that. And my kids say, it's just fucking weird, Dad. It's just weird that you guys all get along.
Yeah.
In your lovey-dovey stuff and all this stuff, but you and I, that's what makes us so wholesome.
It doesn't help anybody to be bitter and twisted about a person that, like, from my point of view, that has nothing to do with me, and that was what you guys had, and it didn't work out. And I think she's a wonderful person. I've had very awesome conversations with her and meetings, and I think she's a great, you guys have wonderful children. You guys wouldn't have those kids if they didn't have two very good parents.
Carla, it's just fucking weird, okay? It's just weird.
Watch your language.
You get along with my ex-wife, that's just weird, okay?
Okay, anyways, so.
That's because you're just an incredibly beautiful human being.
Okay.
You're a beautiful soul, babe.
Thanks, honey.
Oh, I'm not supposed to call you babe.
Yeah. Let's stay on track.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so 2008, renters stopped paying.
Yeah.
You had spec homes that you could not sell for what you built them for.
Nope. Couldn't.
And so
marriage over.
Yep.
I was devastated. Like, talking about all of a sudden knowing what you thought what your purpose was. So all of a sudden, not knowing what your purpose was just, I was lost,
Yeah.
So I didn't want to stay around the area where my ex-wife was with my kids. And I took the chicken shit way out. I ran away because I couldn't handle it.
Right.
I was so bitter. I was so angry at her. I felt betrayed, all this shit, all these emotions that I was feeling. And I did not want to stay around stalking her. I didn't want to stay around, going, let's try to get back. There was no point of return for me.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I'm going to disclose some darkness in me. But prior to the breakup, and my ex-wife dumping my sorry ass, basically I had some infidelities, and before it happened, and so I look back and I deserved what I needed to, but I asked myself, like, why the hell in my, somebody in their 40s would have an infidelity, you know, when they had everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I can't really answer why I did what I did, but this is where what I was saying was that, you know, I really lost my way
Mm-hmm.
because I had everything. I had the perfect family, I had the perfect kids and loving,
Mm-hmm.
and I just screwed it all away, you know.
Yeah.
And so I have no regrets of what's happened. I can only, you know, I can't change what's happened, but
Mm-hmm.
I after that I grabbed, you know, whatever, you know, I think I had 3 garbage bags full of stuff, of my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
plus my tools,
Yeah.
packed it all into my truck. And I still remember this, my parents coming over to my place, and my mom was so sad. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, you know, that I'll never forget that
Yeah.
moment. You know, before I used to cry and I would shed tears about all this, but you know, my family is awesome. You know, my kids
Mm-hmm.
who are so incredibly strong. They forgave me for, you know, literally for abandoning them.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyways, long story short, back then I grabbed all my stuff, and that was my beginning of my homelessness. You
Yeah.
know, I by choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so devastated. I was so broken up. I had I had a broken heart,
Yeah.
um, and my broken heart was not just, you know, my marriage ending. It was 25 years of a great friendship and a great journey, and I
Mm-hmm.
fucked it all away. But my kids,
Yeah.
I abandoned my kids, you know.
Mm.
But I didn't know. I didn't even know whether to turn left. I didn't know whether to
Right.
turn right. I had no sense of direction. For the first
Mm-hmm.
time in my life, I had no sense of direction of what I had to do.
Right.
You know, here I was, you know, I thought I knew what I was doing. I was in control of my destiny. I was in control of my journey, and all of a sudden that was all
Mm-hmm.
shot. So fast forward, you know, I was homeless for about a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
living in my car.
Mm-hmm.
But it was probably the first and only time where I truly got to feel um, of taking care of myself.
Right.
You know, both mentally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my car, all I did was just, you know, and I never read, but I fucking read and read and read,
Mm-hmm.
and I exercised. I had my rollerblades in my car. I had my mountain bike. And I ran,
Mm-hmm.
and I lost a lot of weight, and I
Yeah.
got such in great shape that, you know, and then I met you, and you were like, who is this dude? You know, no, just kidding. I have to break it up, shake it up,
I
because
know you
I,
do.
I don't I
It
don't want to
gets too
talk about
much.
so serious stuff.
It
You
gets too
know,
much.
I
But
yeah.
I wanted just to touch base back on the part where you say you abandon your kids, because I think what that is it's you. I guess that term is, it's hard, but I think it's because there's a lot of, you're you were also filled with, there was a lot of shame, and there was a lot of just all of those things. So how we react to those kind of situations is never, I don't think it's ever like we're making a logical decision. It's just we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, and that's what you did.
Yeah.
And that's what you chose to do. You did so a year and a half of like living in your car. How did you slowly start building yourself back?
I met you.
We did meet during this time, yes. Yeah, we did.
I I attribute a lot to my healing
Hmm.
with you, even if you were both you and I, we were in pain.
Yeah.
We were in so much pain, but I remember you and I made a pact.
Hmm.
I said to you, let's keep our skeletons behind the closed closets.
Yeah.
And keep our baggages behind closets.
Right.
I didn't want us to affect our children. So, almost 5 years. 5 years after you and I met, our kids didn't even know
Nobody
you or
knew.
I existed. Your family didn't even
Nobody
know
knew.
you or I existed.
Right.
And that was by design, and I'm glad we did that, because knowing that we were both in pain, that first we needed to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
I couldn't heal you. I couldn't heal anyone else but me. And the only way to do that was to truly just go in silence, be still, and just allow the understanding of ourselves within to really go, okay, that's done.
Yeah.
Now this is tomorrow. And I attribute my healing tremendously with you, because you or I never got to each other's faces,
We didn't get into those things because it wasn't the space for it. And I think we were, I don't know if I would say smart enough, but we made that choice to just
I think we were incredibly smart for doing what we did.
I agree. And I think it takes a lot of effort not to drag your baggage, because you've heard me say that so many times, it's like a dirty, disgusting security blanket, and if you let it go, who are you? But you need to let it go. And we did that pretty good. Like, of course, we've talked about different things, and that's part of our healing as well, but you and I give each other the space to do that in our own ways. And you were somebody who, you talk about flying off the seat of your pants. Like, I'm a person who came from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, very rigid working environment, to all of a sudden, okay, now I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to work with this guy, and we're going to do all these wild and wonderful things. And I had no idea what we were doing. Terrified out of my, terrified.
It's like a roller coaster ride.
But I have, and always have had with you, just a blind faith in you, and I knew it would be okay. And it's been hard. It's not been easy. We have not taken an easy way, but because we didn't take an easy way, we are now in this weird space of where we are now. People are not. Nobody knows what's going on. So this is like the economy crash in 2008. You lost everything. This is now a global. And so you and I have talked about, maybe those, we went through all those challenges and stuff. We aren't panicked like a lot of people, because we have the basis of, we are focused on our businesses and what we're going to do to grow them going forward. So we did a lot of things in those times from when we met to now. One of them was we created a company from the ground up, which did not start out as the title it is now, or the name it is now, but we started as Disaster Medic, and we came to handyguys.com, handy guys with a Z, not an S. And we started that company in 2012 is when we launched it, and it's still going today. And that's kind of where I want you to talk a little bit about what's going to happen with that, because that is now, we've come through, and we're still focused on that, and it's still going to happen.
So that's where, like I said yesterday, you and Mike wanted a title, and I said, what now?
Yeah.
What this has done, this whole global virus, unlike the 2008 crash, where there was only a certain areas of the economies that crashed. One was the financial institutions. Number two, the real estate market.
Mm-hmm.
This time around, it's everybody.
Yeah.
Like I never would have thought, and I don't think anybody would have thought as well, that this would happen.
Right.
But it's happened, and I'd like to approach in thinking that everything that has happened with us, with
Mm-hmm.
me, with my struggles and challenges, I look back now and I'm like, okay, this is all meant for tomorrow. All of that stuff, I've always known back then that all of that was meant for tomorrow, for me anyways, to thicken our skins. And this has literally thickened our skins. I mean, from where, the journey, and I think, I'm sure for a lot of people in business or business people or entrepreneurs who've struggled after 2008, I don't know why, but you and I, we're okay. We're not emotionally distraught. We're not emotionally fearful. We're not going, oh my God, it's doom and gloom. And if anything, we are so vibrant and optimistic towards the future. And I, before I would convince myself to think that was, hey, there was a purpose, there was a reason for all this, the struggles and all that. No, this time around, I feel compelled, and I am convinced that after when the lockdowns open up, now there may be the sad part is this can continue on for months. Yeah. For several more months until the vaccine really comes to existence. That's the unfortunate part. But it's in our human nature to survive, and not just survive, but thrive. And so I do believe, I feel compelled to believe that when this lifts up, man, we're going to come back a lot stronger. And here's the other positive aspect of all this. For the first time, I think, husband and wives and children, for the first time, this is really reconnecting.
Those geese.
They love us.
Yes, they do.
This is really the first time where I've seen people really getting reconnected. Yeah. Because with technology and all the social media, sorry, babe, with all the social media, kids were constantly on their phones. Even people working in business and stuff and their workplace, constantly on their phones, either on their phones or on their laptops and stuff. Yeah. For the first time, this is the first experience they probably have gotten as a family or as a couple, where the traditional values have gone back. Right. And so it's a reconnection. And I love what you said several weeks ago, before all of this kind of was just getting started with the virus lockdown and all this stuff. But you said this was going to be a reset button for a lot of people and for a lot of businesses. Yeah. And I love that word because in 2008, there was only a few people that not everybody got hurt. Right. In this case here, we're all feeling it. It's affecting everybody. Yeah, we're all feeling it.
And I remember saying to you when we would talk about 2008 and like what you had lost and that, and I remember saying to you, I said, something bigger than all of us.
Yes. Yep.
Said, you know what? You people are being like, you're excessive, and you know what? I'm shutting it down. And I just that was just my thought on it. Now what's happening now, which now I want to just be clear, because we are optimistic and because of all the way we look at things, that does not mean we don't understand or think about how terrible and tragic it is. We know what's happening. It's incredibly sad and it's very hard. But I do look at it as a reset, because here's the thing. Everybody that was in business that is going to resume their business, who had good employees and then they had some terrible employees, and maybe we're putting off firing those people. Guess what? They don't have to have that stress anymore. You hated your job? Oh, guess what? You get to pick a new one without having to give your notice. If you didn't, you want to go to school now, go to school. Like, to me, I look at it very differently, where now you've got opportunities to make the decisions, to think about what you are, who you are as a person. What are you doing with your life? It's not being at home does not have to mean you're, like I've seen this saying too, you're not stuck at home, you're safe at home. And because you're safe at home, you've got the space to really go down hardcore into what's happening in your life.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Well,
and that's what I believe.
You're right about that. I mean, you and I have had many, many topics of conversations on what's going on and where we think. But here's my thought in all this. Mm-hmm. So when I just barely made it crossing the border before they closed down the border between Canada and the U.S. and barely made it. And thank God for that, because I was running out of my medications here in Canada. Mm-hmm. So anyways, right after I crossed the border and got home, and for 3 weeks I basically shut off my phone and shut off the noise. You and I are not into counting how many deaths there are, how many people that are infected. And we've talked about this, is that it's okay to be informed, it's okay to be aware, but it is not acceptable to be inundated with so much, with so much despair and sadness. And because I'm preparing my business team. So what now? I'm preparing my business team in the U.S., and I'm happy to announce that I am going to also create a real estate business team here in Canada. Right. And we're going to do spec flips and spec buildings, and what I've been doing since '97 in the U.S., we're going to be doing in Canada. Right. So I'm excited about that, because there's, I never understood why I never did business in Canada. And really the marketplace has changed in Canada. Yeah. I've always thrived in the capitalistic system. I am a capitalist. It was really interesting when my brother, last week said, hey, you need to take advantage and capitalize on, the stimulus, the stimulus help that the Canadian government is offering. And I'm like, my response to him was like, Rico, I have never depended on anyone or any government for assistance in getting help, and that's because of a pure capitalistic mindset. Yeah. And I'm not talking about, capitalism as the all and be all, but it's just a way of how I've done business and conducted business. It's the only thing I've ever known. Yeah. And so back in 2008, when I lost everything, I had to climb back up. Yeah. And earn income through offering my contracting services, to the point where then all of a sudden I was able to get back into getting the flips funded to acquire the flips, raising the construction budget to rehab it and sell it for a profit. Yeah. So I look at this whole thing as I'm in preparation and planning. So when 3 weeks ago, when I just shut everything, all the noise, it was to allow me to have some clarity in my mind to going, okay, when this thing all lifts, what do I do? So
Right.
it's what now? And so
Yeah.
what now is going to be, hey, I'm gonna, it's kind of like it's kind of like Custer's last stand, except Custer goes out and, instead of getting killed
Mm-hmm.
in the Montana hills, he actually, or Wyoming hills,
Mm-hmm.
he comes out swinging with his army and they prevail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be General Custer. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be General Custer who survives
Right.
the
Yeah.
onslaught.
And I think too, it's, you're talking about you're getting your real estate teams together
Yep.
in both U.S. and in Canada.
And
So,
handy guys.
and Handy Guys has never stopped, and it just grows. But it's
But
going to
here's the
grow
thing.
more.
Here's the thing. This is subliminal messaging for other fellow contractors out there watching.
Mm-hmm.
Please sign up on handyguys.com with a Z, not an S. We have some exciting things. In 2012, when we basically, we were burning cash or savings, like I think we were burning $55,000 a month, and we survived the onslaught for over 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't want to kill it. It was
Yeah.
just like we didn't have the business model then, and sometimes the answer always lies in front of us. And at that time, what happened was one of our people created and built. Because we didn't want to kill Handy Guys
Mm-hmm.
because we were out of money. We ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to keep our online presence of our website, and to now it is a free classifieds website.
Mm-hmm.
Handyguys.com is a free classifieds website with, basically a directory.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting how we have grown to contractors like frickin' in Sweden and Australia,
It's global, yeah.
in England and
Mm-hmm.
Russia, Belarus. I was just like, what the hell, right?
Yeah.
And but here's the thing. I thought about it. We're going to keep it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it the way it is, but we're going to do some of other things, like
Yes.
other mainstreams of doing live interviews of other contractors, and to promote Handy
Mm-hmm.
Guys as a sort of a collaboration of different streams.
Yeah.
Whether it's the free classifieds directory, or or promoting
Mm-hmm.
businesses in the construction industry, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You and I have always been so passionate about working and helping our fellow contractors, and kudos to you for I just love everything about who you are, because you've stuck to it.
Mm-hmm.
You've stuck to that passion of helping other contractors really promote their businesses with their own branding in their
Mm-hmm.
area and their region. And so anyways,
Yeah.
that's what I love about you. You're just consistent. You're consistent of your message for goodness and positivity and love, and and that has drawn into me, and I've taken that in, and like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I attribute to who I am, to my well-being now, with combining with the things that you've inspired me.
Mm-hmm.
I was not this happy-go-lucky loving person. I really was not. I was like, business is business.
Mm-hmm.
I will stomp
Yeah.
on whoever. You
Yeah.
come along and you go, share love, Rex. Give love. Exude love.
Well, it was always, to me, that's why I steered away from business, because it was very, and is still in certain sectors, like just kind of cutthroat and stuff. And I feel very strongly, and I still feel this way.
That's
And it
capitalism,
drives
babe.
you, I know, but it drives you a little bit crazy, because I'm like, everybody can work together. We can work together. There's enough business for everybody to go around.
Yes.
Everybody can grow. Everybody can make money. We don't have to be battling with each other. So it's one of my goals is to unite that industry is the
I have
construction
become your
industry.
disciple.
Yes.
I have become one of your disciples.
But anyways, we got to wrap it up because we're going on almost an hour and a half.
Holy mackerel.
We're about
You
an hour
talk
and
too
15.
much, babe.
Yeah,
You talk
I
too much.
I know. But we should wrap it up. I want to just say,
Okay.
if anybody is interested in joining you with what you're doing and learning more about it, how do they get a hold of you?
My phone number, 425-362-3420. You can also get a hold of me by email and on my website. I have two websites, handyguys.com with a Z, not an S. There is also, I have a development construction of my portfolios of houses that I've built and renovated on projects.com. That's with an I, not an E. So that's projicts.com.
Yeah.
And there I've got my portfolio of stuff I've done. Like I said, I want to actually, not just in Canada, expanding in Canada, but, you know, I've been thinking about Tennessee, expanding, you know, helping other contractors locally down there in, you know, doing spec flips together and spec builds. And I can help with finding and getting, you know, the lenders as well as, you know, private money investors, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, PM me. I'm also Rex Colinares on Facebook.
Did you say your email? What's your email?
Email is rexcarl, that's REXCARL @iCloud.com.
I also want to just let people know too that yes, you are a builder, you are in that realm, but you are also very much a strategist. You are very educated and smart when it comes into the financing part of it, how to structure deals. It's a lot of things in that whole industry that you excel at, and this is where if somebody is interested in, you know, wanting to join or, you know, do their own thing, I think that they have the opportunity to reach out to you and strategize with you and see what can come.
One more thing, please. Actually, for all businesses, if there is the, you know, President Trump's stimulus package of CARES, which is the coronavirus relief fund. PM me. I will send you a link by SBA. It is incredible. I've already applied for it. There's several other programs that they have. Like one is the Triple P, which is payroll, the payroll fund. These are things that we need to take, you know, to capitalize on, because that's what it's there for. So, you know, please feel free to PM me and I will send you that link. Apply for it. You know, if you got shitty credit, no worries. If you've got, really no worries. If you think you can't qualify for whatever reason, what have you got to lose? You know, submit the application.
Right.
And I think there's like a grant if you for any reason or whatever that you don't get approved for it, you get a grant of $10,000. So send me a PM and I will send you that link and you know, give it, you know, just this is an opportunity to set our pride and ego aside and you know, ask for help, and the government is helping, you know, giving us that opportunity to you know, to thrive back once the lockdown is lifted. And I think in Canada there's similar, you know, I'm going to look into it, but yeah, I mean, we have rent funds, and there's, you know, mortgage deferral help and that kind of stuff. So I want to, whatever I can do to contribute to helping, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and if anybody, like I said, Rex is an incredible strategist, and he's good at coming up with seeing things outside the box in a different way. So if you are feeling like you're stuck and you don't know how maybe you can do something different, reach out, because he is very, very good, and we are both here to help. We're both here to help in any way we can, and we just want to see people, don't stop talking about your business. Like, it's now's the time to promote
the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Branding is so key, because all this stuff is going to get lifted soon, like really soon. And we need to all be prepared and be proactive now, get into, people's, presence, social media presence, and saying, hey, we're here. If for contractors out there, and this is the time to reach out to builders. And for builders, this is the time to reach out to, to your subs and, hey, this is really, this is a way for all of us to get reconnected, per se.
Yes. Well, and I think too, you reach out to each other and come up with a plan. Come up with a plan, brainstorm. Don't keep it all up here by yourself. You've got to get it out. Write it down in the middle of the night. If you aren't sleeping, write out your plans. It doesn't matter if it sounds crazy. Just do it, because the more you do that, the more proactive you're being. It doesn't matter how weird or strange or whatever that thought is. Get it out of your head, because it'll drive you crazy if it stays in there. So
one closing sentence for me. What now? For everything, business, family, life. Prepare, plan now for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah. All right.
Lots of love.
You can come inside now and get your coat. We'll have more coffee and more conversation. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's on. There's comments on here. I didn't want to kind of distract, but because you had enough distraction with the geese. But thank you, everybody who joined us, and we'll be sure to answer your questions and go back over the comments. But thank you for coming on. I'm glad you did. It was.
Thank you, Carla Early.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Carla.
You're very welcome, Rex Colinares.
Yes.
And you guys, I want you to do one thing today that you find a little bit of joy in. Most of you saw Rex and I doing a little silly Snapchat yesterday. Brought us a little bit of joy. Do those things, do one thing or 10 things or whatever it is. Just find a little bit of joy in your day. And we will catch you guys all next week. Next week we have Peter Gorel is coming on. And so that is a marketing person and a very, very awesome individual. We've chatted with Peter Gorel, you and I, about different things with handy guys and stuff, and that'll be a very interesting conversation as well. So,
sending you all love.
Yeah, you guys hang in there, chins up, and keep being proactive. And we will talk to you all next week.
Peace out.
Bye for now.